I may have told this story before. He was very well known, and one day some parents came with their teenage daughter and accused him of impregnating her. And she told her parents that yes, it was him, the Zen Master. So they took their daughter to him, and told him, "We're very upset. We can't believe that you would do this." And uh, all he said was, "Is that so?" He didn't mind the reality of their conceptual thinking to be as it is. The reality of most things is quite simple, but the mind can conjure up anything it likes about the reality. For example, I think my son, he was a little afraid of bees, and I told him the nature of reality, what the bees are. They're here to help the planet and do what they need to do. They're not really planning to. He would always think they're, when he see a bee, he'd think they're after him. So it was a time where he ran away, completely just ran off, and started crying and everything. I think it was here, actually. He was here with me one day. And the nature of reality versus thought is a wavering aspect of life. It can be, the nature of reality can be seen in many ways depending on your religion, but depending on your upbringing, but depending on your past, depending on your, ultimately, depending on your generational system, if you will. And it could be something that's not what it looks like, but the mind can say what it thinks it knows about it. And so this happens in the mind. So if there's not much awareness of the thought process, not much awareness of the mind, then ultimately your reality can be shifted into suffering, negativity, resistance, unhappiness, sadness, loneliness. It's so many things. But the nature of reality ultimately lies in you being able to see the world as it is, without much conceptuality, without much judgment, without much identification with that thought process. The ultimate ability really is to be able to see that this is what the mind is saying about this reality, but is that so? There's a very interesting story here. There was a Zen master who had his little, what do you call it, his monastery in a small village, and he was very well known. And I may have told this story before. He was very well known, and one day some parents came with their teenage daughter and accused him of impregnating her. And she told her parents that yes, it was him, the Zen Master. So they took their daughter to him, and told him, "We're very upset. We can't believe that you would do this." And all he said was, "Is that so?" They say, "Yes, yes, it's terrible. I can't believe she's 17, 16. Can't believe that you would do this to our daughter. You're supposed to be a master of whatever." And so he responded, "Is that so?" And so, yes, here, we don't want the baby. You take the baby. So he took the baby, and the only thing he said was, "Is that so?" And he accepted the baby, took the baby in, and what he was doing is ultimately showing that there's no resistance in whatever the reality is. Of course, he also could have said things like, no, it's not mine. He could have just been genuine and said things about what he was doing and how it wasn't his. But he ultimately chose to not show any resistance and see, good morning, see how it is, without having any resistance, without having any resistance to the situation. And yes, that's a very interesting teaching, and it's a deep one, as most people wouldn't be able to do that if someone accused them of something so horrendous. He then continued on with the baby for about a year, and at one point, the teenage girl became much more mature, and she came to her parents and said, okay, it wasn't the Zen Master, it was the boy down the street. So the parents felt very, oh, I can't believe that you would do this. So they went over back to the Zen Master and begged for his forgiveness. Oh, I'm very sorry. I can't believe that we've accused you of this. And he said, is that so? And they said, yes, we're very sorry. He regained everyone start to gather back around him because he lost his reputation. And so he regained that by not going into resistance. It was such a wonderful thing. And he gave the baby back. They didn't know how to repay him. They just couldn't believe that he was able to just accept what they said and did. And the deeper teaching of that was to not go into it further with them, allow them to be able to see. He didn't have really a problem with taking care of the baby. The baby was in very good hands for that whole year, probably the best hands he's ever been in. But for him, the nature of thought versus the reality stayed the same. His thought probably could have said, no, it's not my baby, but he didn't express that because he didn't need to. The reality of whatever it is what it is. So he didn't mind the reality of their conceptual thinking to be as it is, showing a deep sense of non-resistance in this teaching. Don't know if it's a true story, but it's a very good one because it points to the reality of thought, or the nature of thought versus the reality. Because the nature of their thought was, you did this. And his reality was, is that so? Which is an openness, a non-judgment reality, ultimately a non-conceptual one, because whatever his thought was saying, he didn't go further into it. He allowed himself to see the thought and allowed it to be as it is. So you can probably see this throughout your days when things happen, certain situations. The nature of your thought is your nature of your thought ultimately the reality of existence right now. When something happens, you come outside. My favorite's one, your car is gone. Will the nature of your thought be compassionate, present, at ease? Or will the nature of your thought begin to take over? It's an interesting thing to look at for yourself. And you can ultimately notice it, especially when things happen that you weren't expecting. Like with the car gone, or someone cuts you off in traffic, or you get to a place where you think, yeah, everything should be okay. You get there and it's the total opposite. What is the nature of your thought there? Can you allow that situation to be as it is, like the Zen Master? Or will your thought change your reality ultimately? Because that's basically what happened with my son, like I talked about. His thought process changed the reality of the bee is just there. But his reality became the bee is there and it's trying to get me and I need to get away. Otherwise it's going to get me. Everything else. Very interesting thing to look at.